As dawn breaks over the African waterways, a thick fog blankets the calm surface. But hidden just below the water's edge, colossal beasts have already begun their day. To almost every animal sharing this habitat, the sheer size and volatile temper of a hippo demand absolute respect. However, for one tiny avian resident, this hulking beast represents an incredible opportunity rather than a threat. Meet the red-billed oxpecker, a highly specialized forager that relies entirely on hunting down hidden bugs to stay alive. On a typical morning, this feathered expert makes its living by scouring the broad backs of enormous grazing mammals. Right now, its sharp eyes are locked onto a specific target, a heavily battle-scarred, aging hippo. This particular bull happens to be one of the absolute rulers commanding this specific bend in the current. The tiny bird touches down with immense caution onto a living island that outweighs it by an astronomical margin. Yet in this unique partnership, massive physical differences are irrelevant. The only thing that truly matters is scoring a meal. Buried deep within the host's leathery creases, and clustered near its sensitive eyes and ears, lurk tiny pests. Every single one of these bugs is a crucial calorie source, making the dangerous hunt completely worthwhile. With calculated patience, the feathered hunter works its way across the beast, meticulously inspecting every single wrinkle. For the moment, the enormous bull stays perfectly motionless, but making a living on such a creature is never safe. Suddenly, the surrounding river starts to swallow the massive beast back into its murky depths. As the dark water rapidly climbs, the bird's living dining table slowly sinks out of sight. Forced to abandon its ongoing meal, the little avian bursts upward into the open sky. Below, the enormous mammal slips entirely underwater, leaving absolutely no trace behind on the surface. Suspended in flight, the hungry scavenger is forced to pause, keeping a sharp lookout from above. It frantically scans the waterway, desperate to pick out its specific host from a sea of identical floating silhouettes. Finally, a familiar set of deep, distinct scratches breaks through the churning river current. The battle-hardened veteran rises to take a breath, and the diligent forager immediately resumes its hunt for parasites. This frustrating cycle of submerging and surfacing dictates the entire afternoon for our persistent little hunter. It is a relentless routine of snatching a few bugs, hovering anxiously in the air, and dropping back down. Ultimately, the flowing water sets the schedule, controlling the pace for both the mighty herbivore and its tiny passenger. Later in the morning, as the heat intensifies, an unexpected visitor suddenly drops in from the sky. Another hungry bird lands squarely on the very same bull, eyeing the lucrative bounty of insects. Now, a fierce competition is about to unfold over this prime stretch of movable, wrinkly territory. The water level continues to creep upward, slowly swallowing the bird's massive, floating dining table. With no ground left to stand on, the tiny passenger takes flight as its gigantic host slips completely underwater. Hovering helplessly above the murky river, the avian diner scans dozens of gray mounds, desperately seeking its specific patron. Suddenly, a familiar battle scar breaks the surface, signaling that the weathered bull has finally come up for air. The little feathered worker immediately lands on the wet hide, resuming its diligent pest control duties right where it left off. This exhausting cycle of grabbing a quick bite and dodging the rising tide dictates their entire afternoon. Ultimately, it is the powerful river that calls the shots, leaving both the massive beast and its winged companion at its mercy. Soon, the two avian rivals lock eyes on a single, juicy parasite wedged deeply within a thick crease of skin. Neither competitor is willing to back down, becoming entirely fixated on claiming this high-value meal for themselves. The skirmish is incredibly short-lived. The victor snatches the bug, prompting the defeated bird to quickly fly away. In this harsh environment, conserving precious stamina is far more important than holding a grudge over a lost snack. However, an even bigger disruption halts all activity as the colossal herbivore decides to plunge beneath the surface once more. The sudden dive abruptly cancels their squabble, sending both feathered rivals scrambling into the safety of the open sky. As the temperature peaks, the beast finally lumbers onto the riverbank, unveiling untouched territory and fresh hunting grounds for its passengers. For hours on end, the avian cleaner scours the massive shoulders, checking every muddy crease and scarred patch of skin. To this tiny passenger, the enormous grazing mammal is practically a breathing terrain made of dried earth and thick hide. Despite the abundance of food, the feathered forager remains on edge, refusing to let its guard down even for a moment. Its sharp vision is scanning for much more than just hidden ticks. It is constantly monitoring the vast expanse above. The little creature knows all too well that lethal threats can drop from the clouds without a moment's notice. Suddenly, a faint outline materializes high in the heavens, signaling the arrival of a predatory raptor on the prowl. While the aerial hunter is still hovering at a distance, its mere presence is uncomfortably close for the small foragers. The cautious oxpecker spots the looming shape, throwing quick, nervous glances back to the sky to track its movement. With every passing second, the bird stares upward for increasing intervals, its anxiety mounting as the predator circles. Its foraging rhythm breaks apart, replaced by constant, prolonged hesitations as the distant threat demands all of its attention. Ultimately, the search for a meal is entirely abandoned, overriding the immediate hunger with a desperate need to stay alive. A chilling silhouette rapidly glides over the sunlit riverbank, signaling that the raptor is making its decisive approach. Pure survival instinct instantly kicks in, compelling the frightened oxpecker to urgently launch itself into the open air. The rest of the flock scatters in panic, briefly leaving the entire shoreline under the absolute domain of the incoming hunter. The raptor simply glides by without making a strike or claiming a victim, serving as a harsh warning. It is a stark lesson that survival in this unforgiving African landscape demands constant, unwavering alertness. As the winged threat finally vanishes into the distance, the small avian cleaners cautiously flutter back to their posts. Their vital grooming duties immediately restart, carrying on as if the deadly interruption had never occurred at all. As the hours drag on and late afternoon approaches, the harsh, glaring sunshine starts to gently mellow. Long, dark silhouettes begin to visibly lengthen, casting elongated shapes across the surface of the flowing waterway. The massive, gray beast finally decides to shift its heavy frame, lumbering slowly back toward the submerged depths. Unwilling to leave just yet, the little bird trails along, desperately seizing every remaining chance to forage. It checks a final wrinkled crevice, snatching up one more hidden bug to secure a concluding bite. Surrounding noises gradually fade away along the banks, signaling that this sunlit cycle is drawing to a peaceful close. With a slow, deliberate grace, the colossal mammal completely submerges its bulky body into the cooling river again. Only ripples remain as the enormous creature sinks below the murky surface, hiding entirely out of sight. Recognizing its daily partnership is over, the tiny passenger finally departs from its colossal, submerged companion. It wings its way over the dimming ripples, heading straight for the safety of a well-known, welcoming acacia branch. Survival on the savannah is built entirely on constant alertness, but as the immediate threat passes, a fragile calm is restored. The feathered helpers quickly flutter back to their massive hosts, resuming their endless daily chores exactly where they left off. As the long afternoon slowly wanes, a golden, much softer light begins to wash over the sprawling African landscape. Stretching outward, dark and elongated shadows begin to creep across the winding river, signaling the imminent arrival of dusk. The enormous male slowly lumbers away from the shallow banks, deliberately seeking out the comforting depths of the waterway. Refusing to quit early, his loyal winged companion tags along, eager to seize every remaining chance for a quick snack. It meticulously inspects one final crease in the thick gray hide, securing its ultimate tasty morsel before the twilight takes over. Soon, a hushed stillness falls over the meandering currents as the bustling day finally surrenders to the quiet, approaching evening. Down in the water, the elderly leviathan blends perfectly into the gathering gloom, becoming just another dark silhouette among the herd. High overhead, the vast heavens completely fade to black, and the tiny avian passenger comfortably settles down for a well-earned rest. Yet this peaceful silence is only temporary, for tomorrow's dawn will inevitably breathe vibrant life back into these very waters. The colossal beasts will rise again, and somewhere out there, a determined red-billed cleaner will enthusiastically resume its meticulous hunt. It remains a truly breathtaking contrast of nature, one incredibly delicate little bird working closely alongside an absolute, seemingly unstoppable behemoth. Together, they share a beautiful, unspoken bond, an enduring partnership that is forever dictated by the timeless, pulsing rhythms of the river.